stagnated and in some cases declined. This is according to the data from the 2024 Corruption Perception Index, the Ibrahim Index of African Governance, and our own 2022 Ghana Statistical Service Corruption Report, which revealed that nearly 5 billion Ghana cedis was lost to bribery alone in 1 year. This cannot be funny. The IMF's assessment that our control of corruption has deteriorated over the last
The national anthem, please. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for making time to be with us and to deliver such an inspiring address to all
the laws we have now. Vote buying, vote selling. You can't prosecute unless under the fiat of the Attorney General. So if the person belongs to the Attorney General's party, will they allow for prosecution? Yes. So please, the floor is yours. As brief as possible. Once we are done, we'll have the rapporteurs give us their report.
Outside. I know that Ghana is in a democratic country, but we studied it from maybe America. So why don't we go back and find out how the Americans or the presidential candidates do raise finances to support their campaign without any kind of corruption. If we go there, if we take another step, for example, these 4 years, what is it? Can somebody help me? 10 years. Is it not costing the country so much? 4 years, and we know that these 4 years, they will always go to the what? The second term, whatever they will have to do. So I am indulging everybody. Let's think about it and let's see how this we can curtail this corruption so that it can help our country.
All right. So that there will be.
This discussion needs to go beyond the technicalities. We have to go down to understand the issues.
Take us down.
It is not the wish of the politician to flash money, but it's the demand. Out of poverty, there are people that genuinely, when you show up, they see you as somebody who can help them solve one or two problems. And genuinely they need it. Those people are there. And there are people that genuinely they want to cash out from politicians. Those are the miscreants. We cannot talk about them. You see, there is investment that business people do. There are investment people, businessmen in this country who look at a political party and say, this political party is killing my business. So I've identified this genuine man. Let me help him to become president so that my business will stabilize. And it's one businessman who spoke to me during the just last election that I have 1 billion Ghana cedi in my account. It has 10 to 58 million. Now, what do I do? If I invest 10 million in a candidate and he comes to power and the exchange rate becomes 10 and my 1 billion is now $100 million. Which one do I go for? So genuinely, business people also invest in political parties for sustainability of their businesses, which we cannot take away. And I don't know where will you capture that in the accounts that you prepare to the Electoral Commission.
All right.
So these are some of the issues. And lastly, it's a moral issue to go and tell the members and the clergy that they need to vote for you to come and change things in the community. Immediately you go, somebody will come, and the other person who came, he gave 1,000, telling you that 1,000 is not enough. So morally, the society, as the NCE woman just said, Commission of Women, National Civic Education, there is a need for education. And if we go back to the classroom, our children from the KG coming, we have to plant this moral fiber in their mind. Other than that, fight against corruption in political
all right, thank you. And I'll end as snappy as you can. This work begins on the moral question and says people are needy, so they should take the money. And then you come back to the moral question. Yes, please, your question.
Thank you for the contribution to contribute. I am Professor Lady Down, Director for NDTI. I also look at it from this angle. If you look at the angle, really thrive. If you go to the various constituencies, the various wards, polling stations, generally, you realize that many of the executives in some of these constituencies are generally electors. They are not well informed. Many of them are not well educated to even understand.
You said many of
many of the parties
they are generally what? Well informed.
not well informed. Many of them are not generally well informed. And so, many of the politicians take advantage of this uninformed population to let those corrupt practices thrive in there. That is number one. And so, to address it, we need to build a well-informed population.
Okay.
So, what do? We can actually incorporate corruption-related topics into our curriculum. So let's build our children. Look, corruption starts from the family. If you're a corrupt father, you raise a corrupt child.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
The students. Okay, I've seen a hand there.
Education, and to that factor, the moral culture and integrity of our country. I believe that those who have grown a little would agree that when we were young, things were not like this. Gone are the days when, as a young person, any elderly person in your community can say that don't do this or don't do that. There was some moral culture which has been lost, and that's what we need to go to. And I think that it comes back to education. What have the peoples in Japan done that have that kind of morality? I just checked and I realized that in the internet, Switzerland is reputed as the least corrupt country. And I remember a few years back when I was in Switzerland, I drove to the countryside, and on the roadside on a farm, they had a table with some pumpkins and farm products, and they had just put the prices on by stickers on the fruits. And then they had a box that you put your money and then you take how much you want. There was nobody there. In fact, in anticipation that somebody will go with money that's not exactly the amount, they had a tray with coins. It means that you put the money and you yourself take your change. And when I saw it, I was amazed. I thought, where I'm coming from, no one ever to put this there. By the time it crosses the road, so the question is, how has that community developed to the point that you can have this? I think we were there before, and we need to work it to get there. It starts from family. the smallest elements of every society is the family, our morality and our integrity. And I think the Special Prosecutor made mention of it when he was speaking. We need to go back to some of our religious institutions and institutions that build morality. Let it be part of our educational structure. I would say it shouldn't be corruption. It should rather be morality and integrity. And I believe that if we get back to it,
Thank you very much. Please, the microphone to the lady. Please stand so they can give the microphone to you. Thank you.
I'm honored to be here this
Minister, I want to ask a question, but my question will be built on the contributions that we have had. It appears that some on this side believe that the scope of the discussion is not well carved. And so you get people talking about mindset, education, and all that. I want to ask a practical question for our panel members in order to address the concerns that have come from here. So I present to you 3 candidates who are going for elections. The first candidate has good intentions, has the vision, implementable policies. But for the fear of losing the elections, he offers to pay some money in order that he gets elected. So he pays, let's say, 500 cedis to a delegate. The second candidate is not too sure, he's indifferent whether he wins or not. He wants to try his luck. So he offers a full chicken and fried rice on election day. And the third candidate, who has no vision, he just wants to occupy the position, approaches the chief of the community and appeals to him to talk to the delegates to vote for him. Among these 3 candidates, who is corrupting and who is corrupt? Thank you.
All of them are corrupt.
Scope of the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Supporting the Attorney General's office in receiving and processing corruption complaints. So what is the path forward? Revitalizing Ghana's anti-corruption architecture requires bold actions across multiple fronts. We must legislate and revitalize unexplained world orders, extending the application to both public officials and private citizens, while anchoring the principle of reverse burden of proof in our Constitution. The revised conduct of public officers bill will onboard the views of CSOs, anti-corruption institutions, the media, academia, the international community, and all relevant stakeholders to ensure that this bill stands the test of time. The bill will be open to a comprehensive engagement by all stakeholders, and its content and passage will once again demonstrate our commitment to accountability and the fight against corruption. Definitely, you talked about the asset declaration, and I agree with the major points you have made. We must ensure also that we have sustainable financing for anti-corruption institutions to reduce their influence and also to enhance their independence. The financing of political parties and national elections must be regulated through comprehensive legislation that addresses both internal party leadership selection and national campaign funding. We need to engage our citizens. No anti-corruption architecture can succeed without active citizen engagement. Civil society organizations, investigative journalists, and ordinary citizens will be the partners in this fight. The Right to Information Act has empowered citizens to demand transparency, but we must do more to educate all of us about our rights and provide accessible channels for reporting corruption. And youth engagement, where are the youth? Are they here? See. We know that Ghana has long positioned herself as a pioneer in our continent's anti-corruption efforts. We were among the first of the nations to ratify the AU Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption in 2007. And we demonstrated our early commitment to continental standards by submitting the first baseline reports to the AU ABC. Our anti-corruption architecture is built on solid foundations. We have the 1992 Constitution and comprehensive legislation, including the Criminal Offences Act, Whistleblowers Act of 2006, the Right to Information Act of 2019, and the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor in 2017. Our engagement with the AU-ABC review process exemplifies our commitment to continental accountability standards, which we take very, very seriously. And our commitment to this inclusive approach is evident in our support for investigative journalism, civil society advocacy, and the creation of platforms for citizen engagement in anti-corruption efforts. We need to confront the hard truths. However, despite our strong institutional framework, Ghana's performance on key corruption indicators has stagnated and in some cases declined. This is according to the data from the 2024 Corruption Perception Index, the Ibrahim Index of African Governance, and our own 2022 Ghana Statistical Service Corruption Report, which revealed that nearly 5 billion Ghana cedis was lost to bribery alone in 1 year. This cannot be funny. The IMF's assessment that our control of corruption has deteriorated over the last decade, despite outperforming many sub-Saharan peers in other governance aspects, underscores the urgency of our revitalization efforts. And this is where leadership comes in. Let us consider the commitment of the Mahama administration. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has demonstrated his commitment to revitalizing Ghana's anti-corruption architecture. Operation
corruption on the issue of political party financing.
Samson, you will recall that at a public lecture in February, I talked about this in a limited sort of way, and I situated it in the context of our cultural setting. And I always keep saying, what works elsewhere, we may borrow from whichever jurisdiction, but what works elsewhere may not necessarily work here. And so we should not just always look at trying to transpose. It will fail. Now, our cultural setting. I keep saying, this is no news, that our society is one of gift giving. When someone does a favor, he's not necessarily expecting a paycheck, but he expects you to give something in appreciation. Not because he's corrupt, but that is how our society is. And so, where I come from, my achievement is very, very crucial. You wake up in the morning, you reach out to the person. Thank you very much for what you did for me the other day. And you are considered a wise person in that regard. Now the question has been, what is culturally acceptable? Is it the same as legally acceptable? Are we going to legislate to change our cultural mindsets and settings? That is what we need to ask ourselves. Now, because gift giving is ritualistic, the comments that pass through here capture it also beautiful. You do not necessarily want to pay, but the person you are talking to vote for you wants you to pay. You haven't set out to pay, but you know that they'll be looking at you for only if you came and just said, oh, nice meeting you, and you walk away. This is the society. Samson, we must situate law reform in this context. That is why I said earlier that let us make giving money, spending so much money in respect of giving it out to persons a pointless exercise. The law should be structured in such a way that it will be of no moment or otherwise if you give money to someone. That is to say, the law should be structured in such a way that give money out to someone is because you wanted to do it, not that you wanted to influence the person's vote by so doing. When we go from that opposite direction to come home, we will address the situation better. Because sitting here, I am looking at us passing laws. We should do this, we shouldn't do that. But then you go onto the campaign grounds, and we always say the day of planning is different from the day of battle. You go in there, what is staring at you is abject defeat if you do not conform. No one likes to be defeated. No one likes to go to elections hoping that he will lose the elections. So when he goes to the ground there, and this is what is going on, it means that you have to up your game, as was said. Let's make the law make it pointless to give. I hope I'm making sense. If it is pointless to give, then you are just a gift giver with no consequence whatsoever. And that is why I also situated in the context that should we perhaps think about opening up the delegate system, which then makes it pointless to give. Because you would recall the major political parties earlier, the delegate system was just so few people. So a candidate was able to cut the majority of them away, put them in a house or a hotel, and you, the other candidates, won't see them. You only see them in election morning and say, hey, who's what happened? And you know very well that since you haven't seen them, they are going to vote against you. And they will vote against you. And if you make it pointless and the delegate system is so pervasive, you do not have to talk one-on-one with any person, but you can go to the communities and speak with them and other public fora. For me, that would be better. And here we should separate the indices or the circumstances under which